What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And Bitcoin has gotten a bit of a pump over the weekend, bouncing off our major critical level of support. And we're now pushing into our first major target that we looked at on Friday's live stream. So I want to talk about the weekly close. Are we out of the woods here? Is the bottom in on Bitcoin? And if we are able to continue up, what are the key levels we need to flip? And what are some of the next targets I'm going to be looking for if we're able to flip this key level of resistance that we're tapping right now? So buckle up, Mafia. It's going to be a good one as always. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. So guys, here we are on the Bitcoin chart. And as you can see here, we are getting a pretty nice push back to the upside. Now, this is nothing super significant or anything like that, but we are getting this bounce from a very key level. Now, this was one of the specific key levels of support that we were looking at on the live stream. As you guys know, it is the full Fibonacci retracement from the low to our swing high here up at about $116,000. And if we were going to get some kind of a bounce, whether it is going to be a higher low for a much bigger push to the upside, or if it is just going to be another lower high and lower low, we knew that this was going to be the next significant area of support, being that it is that full Fibonacci retracement. Now, I did have a setup here for a long position in the premium Discord, and I actually did take that position, guys, but I wound up getting stopped out here as we broke below that 786, unfortunately. So just like last week, I am not holding the long position from here, although we had the setup and it wound up playing out perfectly. I did end up just getting stopped out, and I am not going to chase and FOMO in on these green candles. Doesn't mean I'm not going to be able to long a continuation up, but we are going to have to wait for some kind of a retracement to the downside. So that was the big key level, and not only were we approaching this key level of support, guys, but some of the specific things that we were looking at were some of these medium and high time frame bullish divergences, putting in lower lows on our price action. And you can see here in all of its glory, we did get a nice little 4-hour bullish divergence, and we didn't just have it on the 4-hour, we had it on the 5-hour, we had it on the 6-hour, and honestly, one of the higher and more powerful time frames that we had this on was that 8-hour time frame. And of course, the golden pocket 786 is always a zone, and on the live stream, I was even saying that I would be interested in adding or taking even new long positions on other accounts as we push a little deeper into this zone. But I did get wicked out, breaking that 786, but even letting the premium Discord know that this is a little bit of a zone, and we do still have these bullish divergences forming on these key time frames, which could easily give us some kind of a bounce to the upside. It did not invalidate, right? The invalidation for this trade is if you were to lose the 786, you could get that continuation down, but it was just one of these little wicks. And then you can see here all these higher time frame candles. Even the daily wound up closing above this 786, which again is that major key level of support that we did not want to lose, guys. If we lost this 786, I would have seen this as a much more bearish sign for Bitcoin, but we are holding it absolutely perfectly right now. And not only that, but we are also pushing into our first major target that we looked at last week, which was very simply put, sitting here at the value area low of our previous range. And we did have some confluence up in here with a local golden pocket 786 retracement. You have the value area low here, a daily MPOC, and you also have the 786, which does bring you up to about $113,000. So with those bullish divergences, we look for that continuation of the bounce, making this our first major target. And this is very important, guys, because this is going to be one of the big levels that if reclaimed, we could potentially see a continuation up through this profile, eventually targeting the macro golden pocket pulled from the high all the way to this massive liquidation wick low. And that is confluent with the POC of the range and our 786 of a much more local Fibonacci retracement. So we do have confluence up there. And just in terms of the volume profile, when we get above this value area low and we have money flow coming up, which I'm going to get to in a second, I'm going to show you guys exactly what I want to see here for a continuation up. But this is definitely going to be resistance, guys. Like I said, you have all this confluence. It is a local golden pocket pulled from the swing high to the swing low. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of turbulence here, as it is key resistance, and that target has been reached now. So I would actually prefer to see some kind of a correction here so I could find some new long positions, because not being in my position here, which I was originally holding, is starting to get a little bit painful. So what is the probability of a continuation up here, guys? Well, I'll just keep it nice and simple. We'll look at this as a volume profile, value area low sitting at about $111,833. Of course, as always, anytime we approach these value area lows, they are going to be resistance until proven otherwise, guys. But once we could get above here, and remember, it is a zone leading up to about $113,000, because you do have that 786, 6 with this anchored VWAP from the all-time high coming down there as well. So, of course, I will be careful of rejections here. But if we are able to get inside of this volume profile, guys, and flip this value area low at about $111,800 to $112,000 to support, this could be an area to hold in order to open up a much bigger move to the upside, with that target sitting at about $117,694, right on that POC of the range. Once we flip that value area low, hold it as support. As long as we can have money flow cooking in the right direction, we could potentially see that continuation up into that next target. So get that marked off on your chart. $117,694 is going to be the next major target to the upside. And if you want that full zone with all the confluence, it is sitting between $116,813 and $118,256. So that's the next target to the upside, and that is exactly what I would like to see, a flip of that value area low. And the question is, do we have money flow pointing in the right direction? Well, if you can see here, our 4-hour money flow, which helped us absolutely smash this short position pretty much from the high all the way before that massive liquidation wick. We used our 4-hour money flow to anticipate the continuation down, even this lower high, for another drop down. I was able to hold that position for a little bit of extra profit on my short position, and that 4-hour money flow was one of the big things that I was looking at. But we could see here that we now have that nice red wave on our 4-hour money flow, and this is also looking to come over and crack into the green. This reminds me of a very similar situation that we had all the way back here. Last time we dipped below this range, we were looking at almost the exact same volume profile, although it has changed slightly. But you can see that value area low was sitting here at about $112,000, and it was the same exact setup here, guys, right? We deviate below the value area low, you get back in. If we were able to flip this level to support with our money flow coming into the green, which you can see we did have here on Market Cipher B, that would give us a good idea that we would get accepted into this range. And then, just like we looked at here, it could help us cook up into that POC of the range. And then if that money flow could continue up, we could potentially start talking about flipping the POC and going into the value area high. But again, we'll cross that bridge when we get up here. But I'm just kind of showing the similarities here, and this is like almost the same thing. We talked about this when we were approaching this value area low. Hey, if we could flip this to support, money flow is pointing in the right direction. And I would say we're in a very, very similar situation with the updated value area low moving down a little bit. It's pretty much the same thing. If we can get up in there, flip this to support, money flow starts crossing into the green, that is what's going to make me anticipate that move to the upside. These are not just random guesses. We are actually seeing money flow start to line up with this. But the first thing that we need to do is get above this 786 and value area low. Really, the value area low comes in at 111.8, but the 786 does come in at about 113.361. And of course, we have local resistance up there as well. So I'll have to assess the situation as we get in there and see if we can get retracements to flip that value area low to support, and then hopefully continue through this profile, guys. And if you guys watch the channel, you will know, how important this level of support was, right? Like, we really do not want to get much lower than this 786 if we did have to come back down and make a new low. The last level I'm going to be looking at, just so you guys can have it on your chart, is going to be the daily MPOCs and the weekly MPOC sitting pretty much at about $101,000 below that big liquidation wick. This is going to be kind of the next major level of support. If we want to break them below this, guys, again, in my opinion, it's not going to be looking too good for Bitcoin. We're going to need some kind of like quick drop down, some kind of a crazy liquidity sweep. Maybe we fake out 100K, get back above those MPOCs, and then get a bigger move to the upside. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I just want to bring this up because this is obviously a major level of support. And there's that long setup that I got stopped out of. But, when we looked at this last week, we were talking about having the weekly candle close above some of these major key levels. And the first major key level we wanted to close above was going to be this macro value area high sitting at $108,228, which we have now done, which is pretty nice, right? We got the weekly candle closure above that macro value area high. And now the hope is that we can finally get back into this volume profile for that bigger rotation. And that is going to be the bullish case there. And I would say at least the 4-hour money flow is pointing in the right direction. Doesn't mean it has to happen today or tomorrow, but we'll see how that develops over time. And it was the same thing back here, guys, right? We did not want to close inside of this macro volume profile below about $108,150 because, again, that gives you the opportunity to potentially get accepted into this macro volume profile, which could potentially call for much bigger drops down on Bitcoin towards that POC. But what happens? We wick below it, we close above, and then we wind up pushing back into the volume profile and getting the bigger move up. That is exactly what we would hope for here if you want that bigger move to the upside. Now, we do still have higher time frame money flow, such as the daily, still in the red here. 2-day money flow also still generally coming out, but we do have this green dot, which could assist us on the way up. And again, with the money flow on the daily still in the red, with the 16-hour money flow still in the red here, we'll see what happens at this resistance level because with money flow coming out, guys, we do still have to technically be careful for lower highs and lower lows coming in either on this local fib. Next spot to look for that is going to be on the POC golden pocket, and then just above that, the last level we have is that macro 786 at about $121,000. It's still not until we get above here that we could start confidently looking for new all-time highs, because until we get above that level, guys, when you look at the Fibonacci retracements, especially the full fib from the high all the way to the low, that 786 is the last place to look for that lower high before potentially flipping it to invalidate that lower high scenario. But it's even if we get up here, guys, it is still going to be a place where we could look for rejections. And I'm not saying you have to get the rejection, but just to give you guys the context here, you have to be aware of that overall trend and where price is likely to continue heading just based off that money flow. But these things can change, and I'm honestly hoping that they change because again, if we do come down here and make another low on Bitcoin, it just gets sketchier and sketchier. We really need to see some kind of like crazy bounce to the upside if we wind up breaking these lows. But right now, guys, we're holding on top of the 786. We are still on top of that macro support, which is the value area high. It's getting a little bit sketchy, but we are above this level. So I would say as long as we could stay above this $108,000 to $107,000 level and money flow can continue to the upside, I will be looking to potentially come into our upper volume profile, and we'll see if we can get up in here. It gives a beautiful blueprint on what price will likely do if we could see the flips of these levels again, confluent with what we've seen in the past, which would be that 4-hour money flow. Now, if we get that 4-hour money flow crossover into the green, again, with the way money flow looks like on the higher time frames, 4-hour would indicate the local trend, right? Meaning within the 4-hour time frame, we could see potential higher lows and higher highs. But when you look at that 2-day, that 16-hour, that 12-hour with money flow coming out, until we start seeing this cross back over into the green, it could just indicate a macro lower high before a macro lower low. So hopefully this money flow can scam to the upside. We really need that, guys, for the bigger move to the upside. But very nice to see these next targets tapped that we looked at on the live stream. You can see we are getting a little bit of turbulence here. So I'm going to let this settle out. And if we do get some retracements to the downside, guys, the biggest level of support to remain above as of right now, in my opinion, I'm not saying you have to retrace all the way back down to the value area high. But if we did get a big retracement, you really want to hold on top of this $108,200 value area high, just because of the context of the volume profiles. And then if we break down below there, I'll keep you guys updated. I'll keep walking you through it every single step of the way. But that's what I'm looking at here on the charts, guys. Pray for that 4-hour money flow crossover into the green, and let's see if we can get back inside this range and see some kind of a repeat of what we saw back here to see that fulfill the volume profile. The only difference here is we are going to be a little bit more cautious around that POC and value area high because of those Fibonacci retracement confluences, potentially giving us that higher time frame money flow play out to the downside. So let's see if we can scam this thing to the upside. I am always rooting for Bitcoin to go up, guys. And again, like I said, things do look okay here medium term, but we do still have to keep an eye on those higher time frames. As soon as that is confidently flipping the other way, I will let you guys know that there is going to be a higher probability of all-time highs, but we're not just there yet, but we are off to a very good start here, closing that weekly above 108,000, holding our 786 Fibonacci retracement with that money flow coming up on the 4-hour time frame. So we'll see if this 4-hour red dot looking to print right now on Bitcoin can give us a little resistance inside this zone, even if we do have to push up one more time. We'll see if we can get the resistance, and I'll keep you guys updated here with the local levels and what we're expecting next on price. But very nice to see that continuation off of that local golden pocket into our first target. And with all that being said, hopefully this helps you guys out. Get these levels marked off on your chart, and I'll see you a little bit later at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll see how this plays out locally. If you guys are looking for a place to trade or any of the indicators I use in this video, check the affiliate links in the description down below. That's all the time I got for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Frankie Candles out.
At the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide.